Dear friends, from the very beginning of my new edition of this podcast, CQ World Stories with Felis YO2 MGI, I have a confession to make. I have been waiting for this conversation with my guest of today with a lot of interest and in the meantime with a lot of good emotion. The chance to have a special guest, Amir, for X-Ray 6 Tango Tango, who is one of the most prolific amateur radio operators and the expeditionists, is an outstanding personal memory of time, which, through my YouTube channel, will be shared with all of you. And if time continues to be our very good friend, I'm sure we will have many other editions together, simply because during the last few weeks of preparation for this podcast, the list of possible subjects grew. And due to Amir's vision, passion, strategy, enthusiasm, and determination, he is fully entitled to be a powerful voice for the present and future of this global passion and community. This is why I have entitled this edition Passion for a Lifetime. And this title describes in brief the core of everything that Amir lived through his passion. It's hard to see in a few words a life spent in this passion for amateur radio. If we want to gain a better understanding of Amir's experience for more than 4 decades in this fascinating world of radio waves and friendship as well, his own words, as found on his qrz.com page, could be a very good start for all of us. Amir says, for more than 40 years, amateur radio has been the heartbeat of my life, a place where voices become friendships and where distance disappears through the magic of the high frequency bands. Born in Israel, Amir became a global citizen due to his passion for amateur radio. His name is very well known everywhere, and the appreciation and respect from amateur radio colleagues are confirmation of his powerful, professional, visionary, complex, and contagious, in a very good way, personality wherever he goes. So, with no other further delay, I invite you all to stay with us for a fascinating story of Amir for X-Ray 6 Tango Tango. Dear Amir, after such a powerful, I say, intro, not because of me, but because of you, thank you so much for being here and for accepting this invitation for a conversation on your passion for amateur radio.
First of all, thank you for having me, Felicia. It's a great honor to be part of your journey as well as a YL and as someone who is raising the hand and to try to empower and develop, or actually, I should say, to expose what we as crazy hams around the world are doing. And I'm so glad to be part of it. And hopefully, we can at least get some more newcomers to come and join our great hobby of all. So, thank you for the introduction. Uh, very interesting. Absolutely.
Well, you have inspired me in doing so because together we tried to set up details on what we intend to do today for our friends, for everybody who might be interested to hear what you have to say. So thank you once more because you have guided me so well in this journey that we spent together in the last few weeks. And let's start by trying to be a little more detailed in what you already expressed in so many other opportunities and chances that you had to speak about your passion. I have prepared a list question for you, and I hope you will enjoy what I have tried to put in there. First of all, you have sent me a photo, and I asked you, "Is this small one really you?" Because you were very small, maybe 2 years old, when your father, which is also a amateur radio and probably as much as you, very well known everywhere, Bill for X-ray for Kilo Romeo, he put you in front of a radio station with the headphones on your head, a small head for such big headphones, as we can see in the photo.
Yeah.
Probably the memory of that moment is not very vivid in your mind, but looking at the photo, you might remember something. So I would like to ask you, what does that memory of that photo has, if it has a meaning for you even today?
Yeah. Yeah, well, for sure, today, absolutely. Today, I really cherish and respect and love the picture. Back then, I wouldn't even remember I had that picture, but when my dad shared it with me, it certainly brought. I thought about it today, just before the podcast, that that picture really resembles everything. As a baby, a 2 year old, to imagine that one day I will be in front of a radio as part of my life. I really didn't imagine that. Definitely it caught my attention. Even though I didn't understand yet what it would mean to me later on, but at the time it was simply something probably fascinating as a baby. But I had no idea back then that it would become the seed of a lifelong passion. That's for sure.
Definitely, and definitely as well, your father played an important role in everything that followed in the next coming years. When I don't know, you will have to tell us all how it happened, because from that moment until you really wanted to do this, probably you have spent few several years seeing what he does, all the stuff. So, what first drew you into the ham radio world,
Yeah.
and why did it become such a central part of your life?
I will tell you, it's a very interesting question because the fact of the matter is that when I was 11 years old, we went, the whole family, for a few years to the States. This was the first time I left Israel as a child, and when we came back, my father attended here in Israel a ham radio small venue. And I remember the next morning when I woke up, I found a radio on the kitchen dining room table. And I was like, what is this? And he introduced it to me. He opened it up and I heard voices, which was very odd back then, no internet. Um, you don't hear anything but one TV channel, one
Yeah,
radio station, a commercial radio station, and all of a sudden you hear people talking. This was on VHF, but even though it was on VHF, it got me very interested, very excited. So I remember he allowed me to listen only, but he did instruct me, and it did open my eyes. In a way, but he instructed me carefully. He said, if you like it, I will find you a radio course, like a radio club that you will need to go and study and join the club, which I immediately did. I remember joining the club in our small town with other students. Most of them were my age, maybe some of them were a bit older. And the instructor of that radio club is a dear friend of mine until today. We've done a couple of activities together throughout the years. He was a real good mentor, absolutely. He got me hooked on it, and I remember coming to that radio club. Even though that the meetings were maybe twice a week, I got the permission from that instructor because I really got excited. The first time we were allowed to open a radio at the club, and we had an antenna at that club. I remember it just like it was yesterday, that it was so exciting that I couldn't believe that I'm actually allowed to make a contact. And I recall one of the very first contacts was a ham radio station in Poland and in Germany. And wow. And I remember running back home in the evening and telling my dad, wow, I contacted somebody in Germany, and it was wow, fascinating. Back then there were no, when there's no internet, there's no other way to communicate to the outside world, and that got me so excited that I remember maybe 2 months later, a month later, my dad went somewhere. He drove somewhere to find somebody that's selling equipment, and he bought all of the equipment, brought it to the house, and from then, I just remember the first antenna that we built, me and my dad. It was just a piece of wire antenna, hanged it above the trees somewhere, and making my first contact from home using my father's call sign, which was really interesting. So doing that in a way was really exciting, especially the first times. That's for sure. It was really a challenge, but a lot of excitement.
Definitely, beginnings are very powerful when we have powerful experiences. Those one from the beginnings somehow turn to be the most powerful ones. And from what you already shared with us, we can understand this. But I'm pretty sure that this passion of yours, with or without your father as a first mentor, you have it in your blood. But just looking back in time, with all this involvement from your father, who probably wanted to see if you really are motivated to continue and to learn and to develop this passion, immediately he, from what you said, he became very, very supportive and bought all that equipment for you to continue. Uh, with such a great support coming from the family is very, very, or it's getting to be easier for someone to do a powerful passion and an expensive one in the meantime.
Yeah,
What would have happened with you, let's say,
absolutely. It
if
was it
you,
was
yeah,
very expensive back then.
yeah, of course. And it's pretty expensive today for everybody who wants to make it at a top level. Um, do you think that your path might could have been different if you didn't have this first mentor, your father, around you? Could you have choose to do something else, not him, not radio
Absolutely.
operator?
Absolutely. I think my father had a significant impact on leading me into the hobby. Without him, I wouldn't even know anything about amateur radio. Um, he showed me the way, absolutely. Even though he wasn't very active at the time, I'm very grateful to that, to what he put me through, because without him, it wouldn't be possible. He did tell me, that back in his days when he was a very young ham. Today, by the way, my dad just celebrated 90 years old now, and I think he's one of the oldest living hams in Israel. But back then, what he used to always tell me is that he used Morse code mainly, and using an AM radio, which I don't even, I never operated that kind of mode. But back then, it was certainly for him a lot of excitement. I remember how he used to tell me, but he never got into DXing and doing what I do, contesting. So I took it to a complete different level. And I think he admires that and appreciates that a lot. I did take him with me years ago. to travel throughout the world. I took him to Korea and Japan and the Philippines and Thailand and to the States to many occasions, to some big ham radio live events that he really liked it, but he never got involved with it as much as I did. But he certainly had a huge impact on me, taking it to a next level, you know.
Yeah, I completely understand, and it's a total luck to have someone so supportive around. Going back to the years when you started to learn inside that radio club, um, how old were you when you became an authorized amateur radio operator? And how did it happen?
I want to say, I think, yeah. So the exams back then were extremely tough. CW with Morse code wasn't my thing. I never really got excited or thrilled from Morse code, but that was a big obstacle for me. I remember having a hard time to learn it, and I remember studying it very hard to pass this Ministry of Communication exams. It took some time, and I did it. I believe I was just around 14 or 15 years old. And at that age, it attracted a lot of attention. I remember running away from school once I got my call sign and my license. I never went to school. I just stayed up on the radio till 4 or 5 a.m. every night, just making more and more contacts. I started building my own station. Of course, my father had a lot of support in this to buy me my first real radio, my first real antenna. And we got some friends to come over and help us to install that antenna in the town where I was living back then. And especially as one of the most, I could say today that one of the most youngest hams in Israel, I was extremely active in all type of activities. And I think we have to understand that back in the late 70s or very early 80s, um, wherever we went in Israel, doesn't matter in which historical location, there was a lot of excitement because people heard over the air, just heard people talking and they didn't understand what it is. So there was a lot of excitement around it. I remember getting a lot of media attention. You know, people wanted to know what are these guys doing? What is that radio and wires and antennas? So uh, to me, it meant that there was, I could say, certainly a lot of interest from the public to understand how are you talking to somebody on the other side of the world if it's not a telephone. You know, people didn't understand what it's all about. So that was kind of cool. I think back in the days, it was really something cool.
I believe that it's
And
still
it was
cool.
very emotional, you know, it was
Yeah.
very powerful. Yeah,
Yeah, I think from the perspective of same passion and way to communicate with someone else, I think for many other people today is still very cool and very awkward in the meantime. And the fact that you can talk like this for some people, it sounds really hard to understand even today.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. People look at it even today. How can you talk with a piece of wire to somewhere else in the
Exactly.
world? Absolutely.
Exactly. I would like to ask you something because you mentioned the fact that this passion somehow demotivated you temporarily from the school task. What did your teachers say those days about the fact that you were absent to some of the classes?
Well, yeah, well, the teachers, I don't think, honestly, even in high school, I don't think the teachers had any impact on me because the radio really got me. I'm talking hours and hours. I used to run away from school early and just get on the radio and just be on the radio day and night, day and night. My dad never said anything, oh, you're missing school because of the radio, because uh, we have to understand that the radio for me was a getaway, or how will I put it? It was just like, picking up English language, obviously,
Yeah.
I think English as a language to me was incredibly through the radio, talking to so many different people. And I'm talking about thousands and thousands of different people from different parts of the world. So I didn't care much about the teachers. Really, I didn't. I cared about, oh, I'm working a new country today. Oh, and there's a de-expedition to somewhere else in the world. I have to be there and I have to wait and work them. So I didn't care much about school. I cared about the radio, about the hobby, about meeting people. And if I can share that with you, I remember. This is a memory that I cherish for a lifetime. One of the nights, um, I recall having a contact with a guy. We were both the same age. I think we were maybe 15 or 16. And one day I get a call from a guy in the States, and he's telling me that his name, his location, blah, blah, blah. And we talk for a while, and all of a sudden, somehow we found, I can't even recall really what it was, but there was some type of connection that I didn't have with anyone else back then. And we have to understand that there's no email. So you have the radio, you only talk on the radio. The only other way to communicate is by telephone. And back then it was extremely expensive. So there's not a chance. But we did write letters to each other. I remember after this radio contact, or when we wrote letters, and a year later, this guy, his name is Scott Olitsky. He's a doctor today, already retired. I believe he's my age, just 61 now. So we stayed in very good contact. And a year later, he traveled all the way from the States. And back then, it was something wow. And he came and stayed with me for about a month. We traveled all over the country. And years later, I went to visit him in the States a couple of times. I attended his wedding. And years later, when he had kids, his kids came to Israel. I came to visit him with my wife. So we stayed in very close contact until today. So that was one of my very early memories of having someone with very, very close contact. So it was a very interesting time, especially as a teenager, not doing stupid things, with
Yeah.
parties. I prefer, instead
Yeah.
of the parties, to spend time on the radio.
It's fascinating what you say, and having such a powerful connection with someone else, exactly as you say, without having any other possibility to contact that person, just through radio waves, it's even more interesting because today is very easy when you establish a radio connection to look very quickly on the qrz.com. You see how he looks or she looks like. You have a brief
Exactly.
description of what he does. So it's very easy to see to who you are talking
And
to.
I have I, I'm I have to interrupt you and to tell you that it's amazing because the first time before I think before he has even come to Israel, he invited me to the United States, and I actually flew to visit him. And he told me, if you're coming to New York, I'm attending a university in Maine, and I will meet you in Boston, in Harvard. I have to do something there. And I flew to the States. And as you said today on QRZ, You just see the picture, what the
Yeah.
person looks like. Back then, I had no picture.
Yeah.
I didn't know what he looks like. And when I arrived to Harvard, to the place where he told me, there's no telephone, there's no cellular phone I can call him. He
Yeah.
told me, come to this and this building at this and this time, and you will ask some people about my name, and they will show you where I am. And I waited and waited, and all of a sudden, this guy appears. I didn't even know what he looks like. So, wow. And the next hour after we met, we just drove from Boston all the way to a place called Portland, Maine. And it's a stranger. I don't know him. I just know him through the radio. So, and my parents trusted I think my instincts. They
Yeah.
really trusted, because it could be, nowadays it could be some
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
crazy guy. But
Yeah.
when you talk to somebody in our hobby, you know that he's got to be a legitimate person in 99% of the
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah. What you said already underlines a powerful dimension of this community, where relationship look quite a little bit different from what we see around us, which is something outstanding. And in the meantime, as you hope, it should be a little bit more contagious for the young generation. And we will move forward to this question, but not before asking you, because you mentioned about the thousands and thousands of radio connections you had during this entire life of yours as amateur radio operator. And probably there have been lots of powerful experiences to be remembered. Among these powerful experiences, and apart from the one that you have mentioned, is another one that has a remarkable memory for you even today?
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's it's a long story, but we'll try to make it as short as possible. One of the most powerful moments that really happened was in the I want to say in the mid 90s. I think it was 1994, 94, I believe. Um, I heard a massive pileup. For people who don't know what pileup is, maybe I'll need to explain it a bit. A pileup is when there's one station on the air transmitting, and there's thousands and thousands of stations all over the world calling that specific station. It turned out to be His Majesty King Hussein of Jordan. His call sign was JY1. He's the most famous ham radio operator around the world, and it was I I think it was a Friday, late Friday night. I was in my house, and the minute I heard his voice for the first time. I was completely shocked. I think I froze. I couldn't believe my ears, what I'm hearing, and um, I broke into that pileup. He heard me, and for about 3 hours, I offered to help him with the pileup, to control the pileup. I was very experienced in it, obviously, so uh, I couldn't believe that he will accept my help, because back then, Israel and Jordan were not in peace yet. But he was a real gentleman. He didn't care about the politics on the hobby. So he did allow me to help him. And for about 3 to 4 hours, I remember assisting him with each station. Um, and he, of course, thanked me after that long night together we spent. And the next day, or maybe 2 days later, I received a fax. There was no emails back then. I received somehow a fax from the Royal Palace to thank me for the help. And from that moment, I think we began a very close friendship that opened many doors later in life with him, with His Majesty. So
And
that
we,
was a
yeah,
moment that I could never forget. Absolutely.
and of course, this is the right moment when when I invite you to develop a little bit this friendship of yours with His Majesty. And I have to tell you, I have to make a confession. First time when my husband
Yeah.
Adrian YO2BTW told me about you, and he invited me to see you on your YouTube channel, and it's quite some time since then. He invited me to look at you because you were in that video with King Hussein, because he also had his own contact, his radio contact with King Hussein. And he said, look, there is someone else here with a more powerful experience. And I watched the video. And now it's time to invite the audience to hear this story, even if you have so well portrayed on that video from that memorable day. But I want to hear more details about the preparation of that moment, um, what it meant to you to be part of that symbolistic, that was a symbol, definitely. And everything that happened around that beautiful, beautiful moment that you had with King Hussein.
Yeah, sure. So I think after that Friday night, and after I received the facts, in a way, it opened a door, if I can say. Um, I had a dream, and we are talking about 1994. There was a peace declaration signed between King Hussein, the president of the United States back then, Bill Clinton, and our late Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. They signed what's called the Washington Declaration back in July 94, July 1994. Um, and I remember clearly, and I said, wow, if we can put together a joint activity, a joint operation between Jordanian hams and Israeli hams to celebrate 1 year for the commemorating the Washington Declaration, that could be brilliant. And we have to remember, Felicia, that in those years, no internet, no WhatsApp, no social media, nothing of that kind. So if we would get on the air, and this can happen, this can be something really big. Um, the world will have to hear about it. So I had this dream in mind, and I I said to myself, the only person I really know is the king. And how do I get to him now? I can't just send the fax and say, "Oh, I have this idea." So I managed to talk to one ham radio operator who lived in Amman in Jordan. I communicated with him quietly, and will keep his name off off record for now. But he did say to me that he will talk to somebody who is very high ranked at the palace, and he will arrange for me to have a discussion. It's very quick in our neighborhood in the Middle East. Things happen very quick. So I talked to him the next day, and within less than a week, I found myself crossing the border for the first time without a passport, which is very, very odd. And I arrived to Amman. This gentleman allowed me to stay in his house. I was the very first Israeli ham to cross the border and to come there. And at that meeting, I asked him if we can meet the president of the Royal Jordanian Amateur Radio Society. He managed to put that together. We sat in some restaurant in Amman, and he wanted me to share my idea, my dream, what my plan is, which I did. To make a long story short, the president has approached the king, and he told him about my idea. And of course, His Majesty was thrilled, really thrilled about the idea. He gave me the green light, I spent a few more days in Jordan doing some sightseeing, and I went back home to Israel. And he told me, "You've got the green light. Go ahead and arrange everything." So I had to choose another five radio operators, amateur radio operators here in Israel, and I chose skillful hams to join. And in the middle of July 1995, we were invited officially. We had to bring all the radio equipment. We crossed the Allenby Bridge, which nobody crosses. Only Jordanians usually cross it, but we managed to cross it with the permission of the palace. And on the other side of the Jordan River, once we crossed the border, a convoy of the royal palace cars was waiting for us, and we were driving up to the Diplomat Hotel in Amman. They put us in very nice hotel rooms for a few days just to prepare. And the place that was chosen was Mount Nebo. Mount Nebo is where Moses was standing with the Ten Commandments, you know. So it was a
Yes.
very significant
Yeah.
historical
Yeah.
location. The king has provided us everything, whether it was food, tents, everything was really provided by the palace. And we spent 1 week, a total of 1 week in the palace there. And it was just an amazing experience. And on the third day, I believe, without any notification, the king himself has showed up with a big convoy, a lot of security. And that's where you saw that video where we met him for the first time. And we had the honor and the pleasure of him operating that specific station. He sat in the chair and just started to work many stations with his own call sign, JY1. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that people can probably watch the king himself operating that station. So that moment, or those hours, of course, he came there alongside with the prince, Prince Hamza, his son. So it was really a significant moment for in my life to be part of this historical event.
Definitely, yes. And while I was listening, I had the feeling that I'm listening to a fairy tale. And I believe you had moments when you couldn't believe to your eyes and ears that is really happening. Um, I don't know how you really felt those days, being a little bit younger. But from what I've seen in that video, once again, you helped His Majesty to manage the pileup because it was a noise coming from everywhere. People didn't understand that
Yeah,
it's just for the Israeli and the Jordanian ham operators. So once again, you have proven your skills. But beyond that, for somebody who's watching very, very close to those images, there is an emotion between you and His Majesty. Um, that describes so well the friendship that you managed to create through this wonderful world of the radio waves.
yeah, yeah. You know, I have to make a comment really, which is interesting. Um, Very interesting that it was after this whole big event in Jordan, and when I went back home to Israel, I couldn't believe the respect and the appreciation of His Majesty. Uh, it was just like meeting, you know, it's hard to believe, but it was just like meeting another ham radio
Yeah,
operator somewhere.
yeah.
He didn't even want me to discuss it like as being a king. And the interesting thing is, I got a phone call from the palace about a week later. And on the other side, there was Colonel Ali Shukri, JY3 Alpha Kilo. And I remember him calling me because his brother was actually a very dear friend of mine, which was invited here. He spent some time in my house here in Israel, and I got that call that day, and he said, Amir, His Majesty would like to invite you, your wife, and the kids to come to Amman to be his guest. And I was like, what? Are you for real? And that happened too. So after a week or two, I was invited to Jordan. We stayed in a hotel, and of course, we were invited to the palace for dinner. Just me with His Majesty sitting at the table with the prince. For we spent about a week there, and then we went sightseeing with him, and just seeing him waiting for us outside the palace, he's waiting for me to come. It was like a dream. I could
Yeah.
not believe it. Even now, 30 years later, it just doesn't seem to be real. And I remember after dinner, we went upstairs in the palace to the shack, to the famous JY1 shack, sitting on his chair and looking at his radios and having taken pictures with him. uh, I couldn't dream of anything better, really, to summarize it in like 1 minute. It was just unbelievable for me. And uh, later on, after his passing away, years later, it was very emotional for me. I felt that I lost a real dear friend. Unfortunately, I could not attend the funeral, but I miss him. I miss him a lot as a person, as a friend. Um I wish he was there, to continue it. And unfortunately, I actually, in those times after I visit him, I used to go to Jordan almost every week for business and meeting people. I just used to drive my own car there, and it's only an hour and a half drive from here, which is unbelievable. But I love that place. I love the people. They really treated me as any other person, and I miss those times. I really do. I wish it could come back. If I could go back there tomorrow, I would.
It's incredible, and I think you should thank yourself for being so inspired. First time when you helped him in that pile up, and the second time when you believed in your dream, and that dream became not only that beautiful moment of another pile up with His Majesty, but also of a lifetime friendship with him. And from everything that you told us, we can understand how easy it is for this kind of leaders, mainly from the aristocracy, to remain normal people, friendly, open people, due to this passion that generates a certain kind of relationship and allow us to remain wherever we are and whatever we do and whatever our names are or positions in the society, to have something beyond all these dimensions of ours. And it's absolutely beautiful what you have told us. I want to invite you to jump a little bit into the present time because from what we have discussed previously, I understand your concern and your interest in trying to prepare um, the further history of this passion for the new generations. And it seems to be quite interesting and somehow difficult to speak about how young generation can embrace this as long as they are using the new technologies, and they seem to be really attracted, and is very easy to understand. We still see that ham radio is special, is very special for many, many, many people all around the world, even today in 2025. Even if all of us, we have also smartphones, we have internet. What do you think makes this passion still special in 2025?
Um, a very interesting question because I believe that one of the things that make it still special today, and as we speak, by the way, I just got an alert on my phone that there was a an earthquake in Japan now, 7.6 on the Richter
Wow.
scale, and this is exactly what you think. When and where do we need the radio? I'll just take you for a quick shot back to 2015. 10 years ago, there was a huge earthquake in Nepal, in Kathmandu, Nepal. And we had back then about, I want to say something around 300 Israeli travelers who were traveling in Nepal, and their families, of course, obviously were extremely worried. So I immediately left everything. I left work. I left everything there is, and I dedicated myself for about 5, 6 days to be on the air. I had one friend in Nepal who was obviously a ham, the only one with a station there, and he had a battery backup power to because there was no electricity, and he actually made it real to try and support and help to find the missing people that went missing in the earthquake. So, going back to your question, why do we need it today? You know, everything is good and normal. You don't need it until cellular networks fail, until power lines fall, or you lose power, and then the only solution really to communicate, whether it's locally or further distance or in emergency cases, it will only be shortwave radio. People don't seem to realize how crucial it is. And I believe strongly, and the fact of the matter is the situation that just happened in Nepal 10 years ago. And earthquakes are happening all the time where people, especially in third world countries, where cellular networks are not always reliable. So I believe, and I see the community growing, but not in the pace that I wanted to see it. And I believe that now with social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever platform it may be, it could certainly become something really exciting for the Gen Z or for the newer generation to come, because I think they're in a way they lost interest in it, because a lot of people, the newcomers, I can see it, they're going to digital modes. The digital mode is nothing more than a text message. You don't get the real vibe, the real
Right.
feeling
Right.
of what this hobby is all about.
Right.
But when I talk to somebody like you, like Adrian, I just spoke to someone today in Chile, in South America. For 2 minutes, I spoke to him. I spoke to this afternoon, just as an example. I spoke to about 120, 125 different stations. Some of them, most of them, I would say, spoke to me in the past. They know me already. Some of them are newcomers. There's at least 20. I always know which one is a newcomer. I know if he's a new ham. I met a guy today from France he got his license last July. And he was like, wow, thank you for the new country. It's the first time I talk to Israel. So that makes me feel good. Yesterday, I had a call from my dear friend in Italy, a guy named Eduardo. He lives in Lake Como. We talked for years. I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years. We just talked. And 3 years ago, I went to visit him in his house. I stayed in his house. I met his wife, his daughter. And the next time I visit him, we went skiing together in the Alps. So these things for me, this is what made the hobby for me such a great place, because like I intend to come and visit you in Romania now. The next time I went to visit someone else, and I travel a lot, so I get to visit people, meet them, to see them in real life, not only on video or on social media or on a phone call. I want to see and learn and know their cultures, come to eat their food, come to see their family. And I had throughout the years, Felicia, I had hundreds of people come to my station to visit Israel. So to me, this is part of life, you know?
Yeah, I understand. And just in case some young people are watching us and listening to what you have to say, um, in this era of traveling, which has become something so important for the young generation, having this passion around them, having a radio station with them, can bring tremendous benefit for their lifestyle because, as you mentioned, you got so beautiful friendships all over the place, people that came to you, you went to their house. So it's very easy to travel this way and to know new places, having friends everywhere. So
Absolutely.
despite this benefit, which comes after certain amount of work and interest and dedication, still remains a milestone for someone who might think, is it worth it to start this activity? So please underline it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a brilliant question. And that's one of the things that if I can help the younger generation or the newcomers, it could be even older people, that they want to make better, not only social life, but uh, today it's much easier. You don't need to build your own radio. You just go, you buy the radio online. The licensing is
It's much easier. Yeah,
much easier to get nowadays to get licensing. Some of the countries don't even require Morse code. But uh, the I want to say that if they get on the air, number one, they should never be shy. They should just respect the others. But once they get the hang of it, they get the feeling
exactly.
of talking to someone in another country. Friendship will become automatically. They would like to talk to them again. And I always invite people, first of all, to my QRZ page where they can see some of the stuff that I've done. QRZ page is always helpful for anyone, or to go to check YouTube for videos and information. And of course, they can contact me, on email, WhatsApp, whatever it is. But I think the newcomers who will join, I think it will benefit them much more if they don't touch, at least for the beginning, they don't touch the digital modes, and they do go to SSB, to what we call talking, to speak to someone just like we do now. You can speak, there's no limitation. There's different frequencies, different bands. You have to learn a little bit about high frequency propagation. Um, and it's very interesting. It's amazing. So I know for a fact, I had a couple of people here in the last couple of months who just got their license here in Israel, and they came to visit my station, and they were really excited. And I can see them shaking the first time that they're about to press the microphone and talk to somebody. That's normal. It's perfectly normal. But once you get the hang of it, you will love it. I can assure you, you would love it. You'll make new friends. You'll see people coming back to you and want to talk to you. And it's communicating with people everywhere in the world. It could be a guy in China, or a guy in Dubai, or a gentleman in Germany, or in New York, or in California, in Alaska, in Hawaii. It doesn't matter where it is. It's becoming a very small world, unlike the social media where you know who the guy is. But here it's much more challenging. There's a lot
Yes,
of challenge. There's competition, contests, field days, conventions. We have an annual meeting every year in Germany, in a place called Friedrichshafen, where we meet everyone from all over the world for 3 4 days, which is an amazing experience to meet the people in person. So if I can help to create or get more newcomers, everyone is welcome to connect to me. No problem.
Definitely, you are an inspiration, an example to be followed, and I think you will polarize a lot of young people. And from what you said, probably they will understand much better that before the concept of let's get global has been promoted, the amateur radio activity already went to that level of let's get global. And it was from the beginning sort of let's get global because radio waves allows you, if propagation is good, allows you to travel all around the world. Fascinating, fascinating approach. Um, by developing your passion, you have discovered that being a hunter for DX contacts can go to the next level. And of course, I know from you that you have became a DX adventurer, and this has turned to be something very powerful and dynamic in your life. And how did you plan everything? What was the purpose for doing this, and why?
Okay, you're referring to the world tour.
Exactly, the world tour.
Okay, um, so the world tour. After I believe that after realizing that some people have gone to different places in the world, I had a dream, another dream. I always have dreams that I try to make them become true. I had a dream of visiting a lot of countries, as many as I can. Um, and I didn't have any money back then. Really, I knew it was expensive to travel around the world, but and to obtain licenses from different parts of the world. And I remember there was a crazy thing to buy a ticket around the world or something. And I said, wow, I want to travel around the world to get my radio equipment and to create the expeditions for as long as I can until I'm out of money. And I started with traveling very lightly in Europe. I did a lot of the Greek islands, activated most of them, and then I took I think it in total about a 3.5 year trip, and mainly to the South Pacific islands, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific. In that time, I spent a long time in Japan with the great local hams in Japan. I was very, very close to them. It's a very long story, maybe for another chapter of this
Sure.
podcast. But in general, I took radio equipment. I traveled with one radio, one amplifier, and one vertical antenna. And I went from Japan after I've been to China and Macau and Thailand and Singapore, Philippines, South Korea. I decided to go visit some ham friends in Australia, New Zealand, and from New Zealand, I decided that I'm going to several of the islands and to spend long time on those islands. So one of the first islands was Lord Howe Island, which is a very rare island even till today. I spent about 3 weeks in Lord Howe Island, uh, just living on a tiny bungalow or something right by the beach, and just working the whole world from there. And from Lord Howe, I flew back to Sydney, Australia, and then went to the next hop, which was like a base to Fiji. But you have to realize that back then in the 80s, uh, all of these islands were extremely rare in the ham radio world. Even tourists didn't really get to those islands. So Fiji was like a base. I knew a very nice guy in Fiji, in Suva. Unfortunately, he became a silent key. He passed away a few years ago, Mr. Raj, which was very helpful. When I arrived to Fiji, I had a big incident. They confiscated all of my radio equipment. They
Wow.
thought I'm some type of a spy, maybe a CIA agent or Mossad agent, and they took all my equipment away. And uh, I wasn't allowed to take the radios, but with the help of Raj, he managed to give me the license and get it. So I spent a couple of months in Fiji, operating from Fiji, and then from Fiji, I went to an amazing place which is called Tuvalu. Tuvalu is a small atoll. It's a tiny island, really tiny island, with the landing with an aeroplane. You land on a football field. If
Wow.
anybody wants to watch all this, I have some videos on it. It's under the Forex 60T South Pacific or World Tour or something on YouTube. But spending time in Tuvalu, I just stayed in on a balcony, I remember, of a church right on the water, on the beach, and spent 3 weeks only on the radio nonstop from Tuvalu, which was the highlight, I think, of this whole expedition. I went to Western Samoa, and then to American Samoa, a couple of other islands, and then after spending so much time in the South Pacific with all these island hoppings, I finally, again, speaking of the hobby, I met another gentleman on the radio, which was from Kauai, a small island in the Hawaiian Islands, and he invited me over to spend some time with him. And it was an amazing, amazing life experience for these 3.5 years, island hopping, country hopping, with tens of thousands of contacts. I think I logged in on paper logs, no computer, no
Yeah.
laptop with
Yeah.
me, paper log. I think I had something like 150 to 200,000
Oh,
different stations
God.
back then. So it was fascinating, really fascinating.
That,
Um, and since then, years passed, and I still do island hopping, country hopping. And in 2022, I decided to do another country hopping. So I did like 15 or 16 countries, but only for ham radio activity. I came, operated, and moved on. So it's fascinating, and I'm really happy that I was able to really accomplish this dream of mine that I always had to.
yes, because you had the focus, the determination, the ambition, everything to make it come true. And what a fascinating life you have chosen to have. But from what I know, and I don't know exactly if this happened while you were such a traveler all around the planet. Somehow you managed to make your own family, and you became a married man. And if being so, um, you still continued your DX adventure after starting a family. Did your wife understand your passion for ham radio?
Absolutely. Absolutely. She's very supportive. She actually traveled with me to several places where we were hosted by other hams, and we just had here in Israel about 2 weeks ago. We had a family that came from the Faroe Islands. For the third time, they came to our house and spent about 10 days here with us in the house. Of course, I went to the Faroe Islands several times, and I spent time with them there. It became like another family to us, you know. So my wife is very supportive of wherever I fly to and go to do the ham radio activity. The kids also they are quite involved, not in the activity, but they know all of my ham radio friends that come here or where I go to them. So the family is extremely supportive of this. They know it's part of me, it's part of my life, it's part of who I am, and I think every wife should be supportive of their family in general. To be very supportive of it.
Yeah,
So I think, of course, and it's very crucial that family will be supportive
exactly.
of what the husband does as far as the radio.
Yeah, yeah. And it's quite a blessing when it happens because it's not everywhere. But this is another story. From what you have sent me, and I want to thank you again because you felt the need to share with me some of your precious images with your beautiful family. I have seen a big, beautiful family. You told me you have 6 children. I have seen 2 grandchildren. You shared with me some very, very nice photos of them. Having you as a powerful example to be followed, did any of your children feel inspired by our example? Did they join the amateur radio passion as you did?
Well, no, not really. I think one of the reasons is that they were already born to life where social media, TikTok, Instagram, for them. But my youngest son, actually, who's just going to be 20 now, 21, sorry. Uh, when he was about 9 years old, I asked him to see if he wants to make some contacts on the radio, and he was very passionate about it. He liked it. He learned the phonetics. He learned the procedure. He had huge pileups. He really operated and got very excited, but he never got. I never pushed him to go and do the exams, but he did become a pilot at the age of 16. He's a private pilot. So I think the radio, in a way, especially now when he communicates, when he flies, he's very good at the communication skills, phonetics and the English. So he did become a pilot, which I think it's better than becoming a ham radio operator. That
Yeah,
will be probably most likely his profession, hopefully.
beautiful.
But none of them
And
followed, unfortunately not.
well, they still have time because one can never know when this passion um, allows the trigger to be activated. So don't lose your hope.
Yeah,
Probably they will. Probably they will. I know
maybe.
from, yeah, um, I think this principle, never stop learning, is one of your milestones for the entire life, and all the abilities, all the skills, your openness to meet new cultures, new people, new traditions, to understand everything that is happening around you. Everything has to do with never stop learning. And of course, you have associated this need of yours to how you see the new generation of radio operators to receive the right guidance and to help them not to make mistakes that are usually seen at the newcomers. And how can people like you help them to improve and to enjoy the hobby more through everything that you have already learned during the years?
Mhm. Look, I have to say, ham radio has no borders. Amateur radio absolutely has no borders, except a few restricted places, like North Korea.
Yeah.
But you can speak to everyone, even with countries that are politically hostile. But when we meet at global conventions, we share everything regardless of the nationality. But going directly to your question, I think many newcomers, um, what they I think the most common mistake is that they haven't learned the basic skills of operating. So they pass the exam, they buy the radio, they buy an antenna and put it together, and somebody helps them connect it, but they don't have the skill of how to operate. And that is a lack when they are actually studying for the test. It's a lack of the club or the society that puts them to it. But it's very easy to learn. And I always recommend to people who are newcomers, first listen, 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 listen. Just be like a shortwave listener. Listen to how other people communicate. It will make things much easier. And experienced hams, they can guide the newcomers. And you learn it even though that you think you have a language barrier, as in English, which is
Yeah,
the main language that we communicate. Even though you have a language barrier, it's easy to learn it. Trust me, very easy to learn it, and it makes things much easier. um, and I said ham radio has no borders, because ham radio, you can learn languages, you can learn technical knowledge, problem solving, discipline, communication under pressure sometimes, and
exactly.
even diplomacy. The hobby is so broad that each person can find their own niche. Like, if you like to build radios, fine. You want to build antennas, great. You want to do Morse code like the old days, that's perfectly there. You
Yeah,
want to do digital modes. If you want to do phone, what we call SSB, that's perfectly fine. Contesting, collecting radios, vintage radios, or just having casual conversations. So everyone can find something that they really love in
absolutely.
this hobby.
Yeah, yeah. And probably if we are watched or listened by somebody who has never heard about this world ever before, but somehow from what you already said, from all this fascinating experience with creating bridges with people from all over the place, everything uh, gives a dimension that might turn to be a source of interest for someone who never heard about this world. What is your message if someone who's listening and never heard about the ham radio but became curious about this strange magical world? How would you put in few words your message, your powerful message to somebody who might want to start?
Mhm. Sure. I tell them, even though it might sound unusual at first, the magic is very real, and it's real magic. Imagine just using a simple radio with a piece of wire hanging from a tree, and suddenly you're speaking to someone on the other side of the world, doing the exact same thing like you. It's personal, it's direct, and it's surprisingly emotional.
Yes,
Just imagine that you press a microphone and somebody can hear your voice immediately on the other side of the world. So it's something you have to experience once just to understand it. And it's really magical. There's no other word to describe it, because when you hear that voice and you hear your name coming back, and the guy will tell you his name and where he is and what he does, and later on you develop the friendship, the communication, and you set up to meet maybe another day, and then by coincidence you meet on a different frequency, and he already knows your name and he wants to contact you, and then he sends you his card. We exchange QSL cards, and nowadays it's electronically, but back in the days it was, you get a mail, a real mail from the card, and this guy confirms that he has contacted you. So it's, I think newcomers will love it, they will enjoy it, they have to taste it once.
this can happen only if examples like yours are very well promoted, because every generation needs examples from the previous one. And if these examples are very well promoted, things can happen at a bigger scale than it really happens, as you said, not at the right scale as you want to believe or see. You have created your own world. You have managed your life um, through this powerful drive for this passion, and the world vibrated with you. You vibrated with the world around you. um, it seems like you make dreams come true, at least for yourself and your family, and for many other people from all around the world. So, seen through your eyes, as you have managed to create such a wonderful world, how the world around you looks like as you see it from this perspective of being a ham radio passionate.
Yeah, I will tell you, I see the world as something magical through the eyes of amateur radio. Um, Speaking with people from so many different cultures, languages, and people from different backgrounds. It showed me how peaceful this world can be when we remove the politics and the
Yeah,
borders. On the radio, there are no borders. It's just human beings sharing their voices, their their stories about families, and about their passions. And once that gets together, and of course, the excitement is still there today. Hearing someone, as I said earlier, from far away using nothing more than a simple wire, it's magical. You have to experience it to understand how powerful it is. And I really, from years of experience in this, the magic touch to anyone is let him make one contact. One contact, doesn't matter where to, and you will see what
the
it does
change.
to him. He will
Yeah,
go back and say, wow, I talked to
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
on the other side of the world, unlike WhatsApp or Instagram or whatever video call we're doing.
Yeah, it happens like that, and one must experience this to understand what you say. Dear Amir, we came to the end of this first edition, and I believe you agree that we need more editions together because there are so many things that can be discussed and promoted about this wonderful world.
We have to get really newcomers, as many as possible to get them, to get the hang of it, and we have to globalize it, to try and explain how this outstanding, crazy, fascinating hobby can really become larger and larger and spread out more in the world, uh, e- with the language barrier and without the language barrier. So
Exactly.
it could be amazing. And I think through uh, podcasts like you are doing and you are promoting it, and I think people will share the podcast once it's live. I think it could really benefit a lot of the newcomers, the young generation. If parents will show it to their children, it could really benefit a lot.
Yeah. By the way, there are so many parents that are trying to guide their kids toward this passion. They already started, but they don't have the courage to be on air. So maybe they will let aside the shyness of being shy to this new adventure, and they will start
Hmm.
somehow. Thank you very, very, very
Hmm.
much for being with me today. It was a pleasure talking with you. It's a pleasure to listen to this fabulous,
It was a
fabulous
pleasure.
story. And all I can say is that I
Thank
hope we will be together in our next meetings. Um, so, friends, this was Amir.
Absolutely. Thank you, Felicia, very much. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you for your time, and I really enjoyed it. Wonderful to be here with you today.
It was a like for me and for our dear friends who are already subscribers on this YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. For the new ones, thank you for being with us. This was it for today. The story of Amir, 4X Ray 6 Tango Tango. And until next time, I wish you, as always, dear friends, to take care of yourselves, to enjoy life, to enjoy your passions, and to make your passions at their very best. 73.